bolokoli komi fora n'aw ma sɔn o ma o b'a yira k'aw nakun tɛ furumuso ko ye o la a bɛ fɔ k'i ye jɛnɛya kɛ yuda dɔgɔmuso la ne Rubɛn dɔgɔmuso ne Simeon dɔgɔmuso ne Levi dɔgɔmuso ne Dan dɔgɔmuso ne Neftali dɔgɔmuso ne Asher dɔgɔmuso ne Isakar dɔgɔmuso ne Zabulon dɔgɔmuso ne Shela tɛnɛmuso ne Benyamin kɔrɔmuso
His family once held the monopoly for the sale of slaves to the
more Hamites.
And his grandfather had 6,000 wives in his harem.
So his family sold our family, the Israelites, to the Portuguese.
Tanyi is rather more modest. He has only 20 wives.
So when they say the blacks sold the blacks, those other blacks wasn't our people. You see? They sold their slaves, which were us in Africa, to another people. We were the Israelites. We were always in captivity.
Today, the Council of Ministers and other dignitaries join King Tanyi, all 308 pounds of him, in the audience chamber.
Now, the king of Babylon did this too. Here's a book that you might want to read concerning how the Arabs came into West Africa and was kidnapping the Negroes, aka Israelites, and taking them back to Arabia. All right. Also, how they were occupying West Africa and setting up leaders over the people once they kidnapped them. Okay, very interesting.
Cost from $125 to $150 each. They will become part of the family of their Tuareg masters. For the hardships of desert life unite masters and slaves in a single community. We are the guests of Alamido of the Cameroons. These organized a ritual ceremony for us.
These are the Cameroons. These are Israelites.
30
Now,
slaves.
this is what they did to the Israelites when we was
Submit to a cavalry
under the hands
other slaves armed with spears.
of the Philistines
Called with
and the Tyre
the triumph
and of Ham.
because
These are the games they used to play with us.
horseman to sink his spear into the earth as close as possible to one of the bound targets.
This is what they would do to us when we wouldn't submit to them. Before they sold us to the white man, this is what they used to do. And of course, they had a Mohammedan as the authority over all of them. So they were working hand in hand with the Israelites and the Hamites. Look at this. These are the games they played with us while we were in the land of West Africa.
Spiritually, the slave is a dead man.
Why? Because we wouldn't worship
Only to
Islam.
work and serve. But the trial of courage can restore to him his dignity as a human being, and even his liberty. Here come the victors.
Okay, getting back here. Still in West Africa here. You know, we were fled into the mountains of Africa. If you could notice the mountain, it's arranged. When you see all those lines, those are mountains. This is all in West Africa. When Yahushua said, flee to the mountains, where do you think the mountains was? Okay, these are the mountains of Africa looking from Israel. As you can see, the mountains are pretty steep. Okay, this is what they don't show you on the National Geographic. They never show when they're doing archaeological finds when they're in Israel. They never show you the mountains in West Africa. These are the mountains, and they range all the way through West Africa. You can see pretty high. Another way to determine that there were mountains in West Africa. You remember the children of Israel, when they came out of Egypt, they went into the wilderness. When they went into the wilderness, they did go through parts of Saudi Arabia, but for the most part, they had to go through Africa. Remember, where was Moses when the children of Israel went into the promised land? Where was he at? He's up on the mountains, you know. He's dwelling on the mountaintops. Just to show you. It's also known as the wilderness. You talk to anybody of the East, any man in the Middle East, you ask them where the wilderness is, they'll tell you it's in the West. They say the wilderness is in the West. So here's my point. You notice that right there? It's called Isaka. Now that's not by coincidence. Alright, you have a lot of these names that are actually Hebrew. Why? Because when we went there, we named these lands after our people, after our forefathers. So when we came into these lands, see, that says mountains right there. Those are mountains. Okay? Asafu. You got a lot of these things in Hebrew. When we came into these lands, this is what we named it after our forefathers, because we wanted to feel like we were at home. Okay? Let me show you another one. See if I can drag this thing over. Okay. Okay, here's another one. Fumbina or Adama. Alright, so for us to name that Adama, we was named that after our forefather Adam. Okay? Koro or Korah means son of God. Okay? Like I said, that's Igbo, that's Judah, that's Benjamin, Benin, Oriah. You have all these different names, Osama, you know. You got Koromanti, you got Dahomey. Now, a people moving into this land, if they were really heathens, why would they name these lands after the Hebrews? Or after the patriarchs of the Hebrew Israelites? Why would they do that? So what does that tell you? You wonder why when we came to the Americas, they told us not to read, write, to change our names, change our culture. Alright? Now when we was dwelling here in West Africa, don't think that we had it easy, even though we called it paradise. We didn't have it easy. Remember the curses? What did it say? In Deuteronomy 28, verse, what was that? 28:20? No, I think it was 28:19. It says, "Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out." Okay? When we went into West Africa, it was a paradise. But we was fighting the whole time we was there after that 1,000-year period. We was fighting. And during that 1,000-year period, who were we fighting? We were fighting the real people called Hamites, the Canaanites, the Ethiopians, the Egyptians, the Philistines, the cousins of those people. We were fighting against them. Alright? We were fighting against the Arabs. We were fighting against them, the Ishmaelites, so to speak. Alright? Who do you think sold us? When you read Psalms 83, it says, "Let us make a covenant against them, against the children of Israel, that their name be no more in existence." Alright, you can read that in Psalms 83. So think about this. You know, why would Esau take our maps and hide them? Why? You see? Why would he do that? Ask yourself why. Why would you steal and take a heritage, a culture, a name from a people? Why would you do that? Because it's diabolical. It's called free employment, free slavery. Alright? So they could be kings. Alright, so do your research, do your studies, and you will see that the people that are dwelling in Americas and Europe, that are Negroes, Latinos, are Israelites. They are from the 12 tribes of Israel. The only reason why they went to America was to dwell in safety at the hands of their enemies. Alright, Deuteronomy 28:48 says that they will worship the Most High, but they will serve their enemies in hunger, in thirst, and in want of all things. You Israelites haven't really seen any trouble other than at the hands of your enemies. But when the Most High start bringing heat on your enemies, that's when you're not going to be able to eat anymore. That's when you're not going to be able to drink anymore. This is called Jacob's trouble. Okay? When that day comes, I hope you brothers and sisters, faith are ready. I hope you're keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, because that's what's going to help you and that's what's going to save you when that day comes. When you read Job 5, verse 19, it tells you how you're going to escape. It tells you. So repent and come back to your heritage. Okay? That everything is not forgotten. There are things that are still there. You gotta remember, Esau, he loves to record things. You know? He's gonna tell on himself. He's gonna tell on what he did to us based on his records. So in order to find out who we are, we have to go through his records to find out the truth. This is the book I was telling you about. This is called The Interesting Narrative of the Life of Alauda, I might be butchering his name, Equiano, written by himself, edited with an introduction by Robert J. Allison. Now this man, he was captured as a young boy, as a young child, about 8 years old, 9 years old, I believe, and he turned into a pet for one of the captains on the slave ship. So he would watch the captain keep a diary, so he kept a diary as well. Once he learned how to speak English, kept the diary until he became a man, and then it was translated into a book. So he's an eyewitness to what happened on the slave ships. Okay, so I'm gonna read this. This is on page 42. It says now he's, you know, he being a young child, he doesn't know that he's a Jew, but he remembers the practices that they had when they were in the land of Africa. Okay, and now he's surrounded on the slave ship by Jewish people. All right, so he's gonna talk in first person here. It says, we practice circumcision like the Jews and made offerings and feasts on the occasion in the same manner as they did, like them also. Our children were named from some event, nomen omen, some circumstance, or fancied for bonding at the time of their birth. I was named Aladu, which in our language signifies vicissitude or fortunate. Okay, also one favored and having a loud voice and well spoken. So I'm gonna drop down to the next paragraph. It says, this is how you know we kept our customs. It says, I have before remarked that the natives of this part of Africa are extremely cleanly. This necessary habit of decency was with us a part of religion, and therefore we had many purifications and washings, indeed almost as many, and used on the same occasions, if my recollection does not fail me, as the Jews. Those that touched the dead at any time were obliged to wash and purify themselves before they could enter a dwelling house. Every woman too, at certain times was forbidden. This is when she was on her menstrual cycle. So at certain times was forbidden to come into a dwelling house or touch any person or anything we eat. So he talks about how he was fond of his mother, that he still wanted to go stay with her even when she was, because they stayed in different houses. I'll read a little bit more. It says, in a little house made for that purpose till offering was made, and then we were purified. So they always kept a separate house for the women who were on their menstrual cycle. So they kept the laws over there. They kept the laws without Christ. That's the problem. So we gotta have Christ first. Hamashiach Yahweh. Then we keep the laws. We repent, then keep the laws. Though we had no places of public worship, we had priests We had magicians. All right, magicians is another word for magi's. You read the Bible, it talks about magi, okay, or wise men. I do not remember whether they had different offices or whether they were united in the same persons, but they were held in great reverence, talking about by the people. These are like the priests, of course. They calculated our time, foretold events, as their name imported, for we called them Afowaka, which signifies calculators or yearling men. Our year being called Afo. They wore their beards, which is a law, and when they died, they were succeeded by their sons. Yet King David, his son, succeeded him, Solomon. Said most of their implements and things of value were interred. Let's see, right here. It says none accompanied their funerals, but those of the same profession or tribe. They buried them after sunset and always returned from the grave by a different way from that which they went. Talking about the men that buried them. Let me drop down here. It says, I recollect an instance or two which I hope it will not be deemed impertinent here to insert, as it may serve as a kind of specimen of the rest, as is still used by the Negroes in the West Indies. So it's telling you who we are. This brother was actually riding on the ships and saw where these men were taken to. He knew that they was taken to the West Indies. So you got Judah, Benjamin, and Levi that was taken to the West Indies and to the North Americas. When they got there, what happened? They took their names away from them. They took their children away from them, their sons away from them. There was no way for them to keep these laws, all right? Or remember who they were. Isaiah 65:15 talks about how he's going to take another name for a curse and give up the name of the Most High that the Most High gave us, all right? So we have to keep in mind all these things, that the records are there. We just got to find them. We got to find them. All right? They're right in front
of your lives, even when you have come to be men, you must be on guard against the white tobab and the black traders who help them.
Now, black
These
traders
things
who
I'm
help
going
them.
to tell you now, you must hear with more than your ears. For not to do as I say can mean you're being stolen away to a place outside our world, outside of us, forever. Never be alone when you can help it. Never be out at night when you can help it. And day or night, if you are alone, keep away from any high weeds or bushes. And if ever you see much smoke away from any village, it is probably the white man's cooking fires, which are always too big. And remember, when you are close to where he has been, his scent remains in the air.
Look at the
It
fear.
is a smell like a wet chicken. And most importantly, remember that Kunta Kinte saw the white man less than 2 days' walk from where we are now. The white man is here.